welcome back to the channel. And yes, this is my Royal Rumble review. The Royal Rumble went down last night in Philadelphia, and we're going to take a look at what went down at this huge event on the road to WrestleMania. Now, in previous years, the Royal Rumble has always been a pay-per-view to be excited about, but it always comes with disappointment. That has been the general consensus year in, year out recently. So would this Royal Rumble have a difference? Well, it did, because for the first time ever, we had the Women's Royal Rumble, and surprisingly, this was the main event. Now, I honestly thought that even though we had a Women's Royal Rumble, the Men's Royal Rumble would go last and be the closing point of the evening, but it wasn't. So this was a huge change for WWE, and in a way, it made this event more exciting, the fact that WWE had changed it up. Now, we kicked off the evening with AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn on the main show for the WWE Championship. And this was a good start. It was a solid start, and I don't want to spend too long talking through all the singles matches and tag team matches because I want to focus on the two Rumbles. But this was a great start because AJ Styles is always on point. We know we're going to get the best when he's in the ring with the likes of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and they put on a decent show. I haven't been the biggest fan of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and this heel feud that they've got with Shane McMahon. I have to admit that. But it did not take away from this match. And I actually enjoyed the finish of this match. The fact that did they or didn't they make the tag? And if they didn't, then should that ruling be overturned? And Shane McMahon again sticking the knife in by just saying, yeah, I saw it, but oh well, never mind. Leaving Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn absolutely fuming. So obviously that feud is going to continue. I like the way that they did it. I like the finish. And also it's setting up for AJ Styles' road to WrestleMania. So I believe now that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will probably move away from AJ Styles and begin to focus solidly on Shane McMahon and also Daniel Bryan if he's still involved in the mix. But this was a good start. It always is. If AJ Styles is kicking off a show, it's going to start off on a high. And that's exactly what it did at the Royal Rumble. Next up, we had the Usos defending the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championship against Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. I'm a huge fan of Chad Gable, and I love the fact that Shelton Benjamin is back in the WWE. And I honestly feel that their time is now due to gain the Tag Team Championship. But again, tonight was not their night. In this 2 out of 3 falls match, I was so surprised that the WWE went with giving the Usos a 2-0 victory. I mean, I actually found that quite shocking, to be honest with you, because I felt that Gable and Benjamin would have a close contest. But what this was, again, was almost developing Gable and Benjamin into a major heel team where they just kind of have a little bit of a loose cannon about them. They snap and then they lose control. And when they lose control, that costs them the match. They get too much emotion. And each time they've done that, the Usos have capitalized. And it was the same scenario tonight at the Royal Rumble because Gable and Benjamin, after losing the first fall, took things to the outside, tried to do double impact damage to the Usos. And in doing so, got distracted, got too carried away, and the Usos scored the second victory. So I can kind of see what they're doing here. They're building up and up and up and up and up this frustration for Gable and Benjamin, and then the payoff is coming, but it's a patient and it's a slow burn, and I like that. And I don't feel, unlike the way that the Raw tag team division is structured, that these matches between the Usos, Gable and Benjamin get boring. I don't get that. I thoroughly enjoy this, but I was surprised that they didn't even get one pinfall. So interesting, and I think it's got something to build, and I actually like the tag team division on SmackDown Live, so this was cool and I'm excited to see where it goes. But I do feel that Gable and Benjamin will capture tag team gold very, very soon. Now, let's talk about Royal Rumble number 1, the Men's Royal Rumble. And again, such a surprise at where this was positioned. Genuinely thought this would be at the end of the night. It wasn't, and I think maybe it was a smart move because something big had to come in the women's match, in the Women's Royal Rumble, and it did. In fact, it came after, but actually the payoff in general in the Women's Royal Rumble was quite a powerful one because it cemented a woman who has just gone from strength to strength from coming up to the main roster. And they could have done this the same way for the men, but they have made a few mistakes with the Royal Rumble winner prior to the Royal Rumble match. So Shinsuke Nakamura was the winner of the Men's Royal Rumble. How did I think this Royal Rumble went? I thought it was a good Royal Rumble. I would never say it was one of the best. I saw people maybe getting a little carried away because, let me just flip it on its head for a second. If Shinsuke Nakamura didn't win that Royal Rumble, and let's just say Roman Reigns did, the people that were saying this is the best Royal Rumble ever, you would surely have changed your tune if Roman Reigns had won it. It was surely the fact that WWE gave you something that you wanted, and that is why you thought it was so good. And I completely understand that because it's rare that WWE do this. And they actually did. It was a night for the fans, really, because the two victors of the Royal Rumble matches and also most of the matches on the card were for the fan favourite. So I would say that this was a good Royal Rumble. I wouldn't say it was an amazing Royal Rumble. I felt it did lack some legends returning to the ring, although we did get one of the most exciting returns for me, seeing Rey Mysterio return to the WWE, something I didn't really think was going to happen because I thought he finished on bad terms with the WWE. He wanted out of his contract, but it was absolutely fantastic to see Rey Mysterio in the Royal Rumble in perfect shape. Could he be the new Cruiserweight GM? Maybe. That'd be cool. I'd like to see Rey Mysterio back wrestling. I would have liked Rey Mysterio to have won the Royal Rumble. I was that carried away with the moment. But it was a fantastic return for Ray. Also as well, Hurricane Helms. That was a nostalgia moment. I like that too. One thing I didn't like, and this isn't because I didn't like the superstar, I just didn't like the way it unfolded, was John Cena calling the match constantly. Goodness me. I mean, you'd think that someone with the experience of John Cena would protect the way he's telling people what to do. And if he was out there controlling the Rumble, that was his purpose, fair play to him. He's got a lot on his plate. But I never saw that from anyone else in this Royal Rumble or the Women's Royal Rumble. The amount of times, if you watch it back, that Cena is telling other people what to do. He's even at points when the wrestlers are down, he's saying get up, and if they're up, he's telling them to stay down. And he's just shouting. He's shouting out instructions all the time. The art of wrestling is to make it seem, like it's choreographed in a way, but it's seamless. It's not seamless if someone's calling all the moves as he does them. And John Cena, as a veteran of the ring, should know this by now. But it seems that Cena always gets given a pass when it comes to this, but I'm pulling him up there because I didn't think it was necessary. And when you see guys like Randy Orton hit the ring, all of a sudden he's in, RKO, boom. Well, I didn't see Randy Orton indicate to anybody, I'm going for an RKO. It just happens. It happens seamlessly, and it doesn't look like he's asked or indicated to do it, signaled in any way. And I don't get why Cena can't do that. He controls a lot of the match in this Royal Rumble, and he gives it away on so many times. Even on the 619, if you watch that, he's talking to Reigns. I don't know what he's telling him, but goodness, it was so obvious, and I feel it kind of lets down the match a little bit when somebody is being, so loud as well. I'm sure if you're in the arena, you could have heard Cena as well. But yes, that was disappointing. Another disappointing element of this Royal Rumble match was the use of the number 30. Not because of who it was. Dolph Ziggler being number 30, perfect for his storyline, but he had to have a payoff, didn't he? I mean, come on, guys, WWE. You've just had Dolph Ziggler give up the United States Championship on SmackDown Live, step away from the ring, almost indicate that he's had enough, he's retiring, he's done, but walking away. Now, if he's going to come back, that's a big moment. You gave him the number 30, you did the hard work, and then he hits the ring, couple of moves, a few super kicks here or there, lines up a sweet chin music, and then all of a sudden, he is eliminated. What a waste of, number one, a good build, which you did with him, and number two, of a number 30 spot. I mean, I was at the time thinking, who else could have been there? They could have had The Undertaker to ignite the feud with Cena. They could have gone with Batista. I heard that there was rumours he might be there. Your mind is always ticking on that number 30 number of who's going to come in, who's going to actually be the final number in the Royal Rumble. When it was Ziggler, I wasn't disappointed, but I was left disappointed by the way he was eliminated. And it just makes me think, are they ever going to give Dolph Ziggler the rub to push him forward? It doesn't feel like it. And is it time for Ziggler to maybe move on and become a champion outside of the WWE, take a Cody Rhodes route? I think it might be possible because WWE just don't seem to get it with him. But that was disappointing. Things that weren't NXT call-ups. Adam Cole, the NXT champions were all involved in both Royal Rumbles. And I thought that was very exciting. It was almost more, although I'm complaining a little bit that we didn't get the legends, it was a nod to the future of the WWE. And that's something that we don't always get from WWE, acknowledging the future is now. So that was exciting too. My favourite moments, I'd have to say, in this Royal Rumble were, for me, Rey Mysterio, without a shadow of a doubt. And I very much enjoyed the fact that Shinsuke Nakamura did win. The only reservation I have on this is that really Nakamura could have had a better build going into the Rumble. I feel like he's been around the championship picture on SmackDown Live, and it was an ultimate failure. The way that they had him feud with Jinder Mahal. And all that really did was put over Jinder. It did nothing for Nakamura. I would have loved for them to have used a similar story like they did with Asuka. You know, protecting him a little bit, making him a bit more mysterious in his ways. He comes out, he wins, he leaves, you know. But they kind of went a little bit completely in the opposite direction, calling him the artist, not protecting him. When he's on the mic, does he need to talk? Can his actions speak louder than his words? So in that theory, I was disappointed in the way they built up to Nakamura winning the Royal Rumble, but I was pleasantly surprised that he did. He was the favourite, but there was always that, you know, in the back of my mind that they go with Reigns and leave the crowd upset and booing. And when they positioned the Royal Rumble mid-card, kind of thought it's certain that Reigns is going to win this. Because if they're booing, they'll be cheering by the end of the night when something happens in the Women's Royal Rumble. But, you know, fair play, props to WWE. They went with Nakamura. They gave the fans the big pop. And Reigns played his part as well. Because if Reigns didn't have that much heel heat, it wouldn't have been as exciting to see Nakamura eliminate the big dog. So I enjoyed that. So it's a solid men's Royal Rumble. As I said before, not the greatest. It didn't have enough returns for me that I enjoyed enough, but it was enjoyable. Now, let's move on, because after the Royal Rumble, the men's Royal Rumble, the crowd was on a massive come down, and this was like the graveyard shift, and unfortunately it was left to the Raw Tag Team division to take this forward, and it was Cesaro and Sheamus challenging Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan for the Tag Team Championship. And I gotta say, we've seen these two teams go at it too many times, or if not, a different incarnation of Seth Rollins and someone else against Cesaro and Sheamus, and it's just been done to death. And as I'm excited about the Usos and Gable and Benjamin, I'm not excited about seeing this happen again. I love Cesaro, I love Sheamus, I really do, both hard hitters, but I just don't want to see these four continue, and I don't think they will now after the Royal Rumble, because I was curious that Jason Jordan wasn't in the Royal Rumble match. It's now become clear that he was injured and they were trying to use him less. And that was proven in this match too, because he was put on the outside, taken down, and he really didn't get involved. And ultimately that cost Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan the tag team championship. Cesaro and Sheamus now the new tag team champions. And I think that's going to begin the feud of Rollins and Jordan going forward, which means, refreshingly, Cesaro and Sheamus can go in a new direction. Excellent. Excellent. I want that to happen. By the way, one thing I want to say, I loved Seth Rollins' Burn It Down attire. Fantastic. It looked awesome. Now, let's talk about the WWE Universal Championship match. The Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar, defeating Braun Strowman and Kane. What did I think in terms of expectation for this match? Was I excited for this match going in? To a degree, I thought it could be interesting. I wouldn't say I'd go as far as exciting. I did enjoy, the over-the-top spots in the build to this with Braun Strowman. They're fun. That's what they are. But I felt this match would be carnage, but I wasn't sure if it would be in a good way. And my expectation was that Lesnar would win. My expectation as well was that Kane would be the fall guy. And my hope was that Braun Strowman would look strong. And in all these areas, they were covered by the WWE. They did everything that I expected, and they also made Braun Strowman look strong. I expected they would use tables, chairs, go for certain spots that make it look like it's utter carnage and destruction with these three monsters in the ring. They went there, they did it, and it kind of did exactly what it was going to do. And do I want to see it again? Not really. Was I bothered about it? Not really, but everything happened that I expected to. And I knew that the match would end in an F5. It was done to the right opponent, Kane. Strowman left standing saying, you didn't beat me. Where does Braun Strowman go from here? Because I assume that Brock Lesnar will now be moved into a feud with Roman Reigns to build for WrestleMania. So where does Braun Strowman go? But, the F5 proving once again that it is the most dominant finishing move in the WWE. And it's rare that anyone is going to kick out. But if they are, it's going to be Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. So, yeah, that was my thought on the Universal Championship match. Now, finally, the Women's Royal Rumble. Surprising that it was positioned here, but there was rumours all around that Ronda Rousey would be in the Royal Rumble match. Now, that didn't happen, but Rousey did make an appearance. And I'm kind of glad that she wasn't in the Royal Rumble, because surely if she was in it, she would have been in it to win it. And for me, this was about women's wrestling, and it should have been about the women that have built up this division. And it told a very good story, did this Royal Rumble, because this was the Royal Rumble where they had focused on bringing back some of the legends of the women's division. I say that the men's Royal Rumble lacked it a bit, bar Rey Mysterio, but the women's didn't. I mean, we have Molly Holly, and how good was she, by the way? Unbelievable. Lita, excuse me, Vicky Guerrero, that was so fun. The Bella Twins came back and they played a pivotal part, being, down to the final three, those two. And the fact that Nikki again turned on her sister, I mean, it just shows that that feud could have gone so much further than it did back in the day. But it was great. It was all exciting to see, and they definitely put more work. I felt that this Royal Rumble was a lot more structured, planned out, and maybe that's why Cena was calling the men's Royal Rumble much more, because it didn't have much structure to it. But I never saw anybody calling the match in this women's Royal Rumble, and I think my favourite moment was the number 30. Now, everybody was hoping Ronda Rousey would be number 30, and it wasn't. It was Trish Stratus, and I was fearing that when that happened, the crowd were going to turn on Trish. And that's the problem sometimes when these things are leaked out and the expectation is it's someone and it's not. The crowd turns on that superstar. Luckily enough, Trish Stratus has the superstar power to reverse that, and the fans got behind her, and it wasn't such a big deal. And it was great because the altercation between Trish Stratus and Mickie James, wow, that brings back the memories of when Mickie James was a stalker to Trish Stratus. So good. And can we not get this rivalry going again and get a match at WrestleMania? Because the two of them, Mickie James we know can go, and Trish Stratus hasn't missed a beat. It was so good. I really enjoyed it. And I think that the WWE as well, they brought in Ember Moon, the women's champion in NXT. That was cool to see again, focusing on the future being now. Nia Jax finally was being utilized as a dominant force. She's so different to everyone else in the women's division. It seems ludicrous to not do that, and they haven't done it well enough. But the Royal Rumble put her on the map to show just how dominant she can be, because every time Nia Jax was involved, it took down, numerous women to stop her. And that was what was great about Nia Jax's role in the Royal Rumble. I also felt as well that it put Sasha Banks back on the map a little bit. I was a bit concerned she was going to win it for a moment. I don't think she deserves that. But what it did do was it gave her that heel persona, which brought her to the dance in NXT. Sasha is so much better as a heel, and I feel that with her being a face, it's never quite worked. If they turn her, and this was the beginning of a heel turn, I think that Sasha Banks could go places once again. She's needed something like that to refresh herself. No more of this being buddies with Bayley and stuff like that and being all friendly. I know it's a marketing thing, but Sasha needs to be a heel. Let her be the legit boss like she was down on NXT. But, this Royal Rumble was about one woman, and it wasn't Ronda Rousey. It wasn't Stephanie McMahon on commentary. Is Stephanie a heel or a face? You tell me. But it wasn't about them. It was all about Asuka. And Asuka, the Women's Royal Rumble winner, a deserved one. And from NXT to the main roster, Asuka's booking, the way they've protected her, it's just superb. And this is what I was saying about the men's Rumble. If they'd done something like this with Nakamura, it would have made that Rumble victory all that more special. But Asuka has been perfect. And even the moment after she won it, people are saying that Ronda Rousey maybe stole her thunder. Did you see that segment? Did you see when Rousey offered the hand and Asuka just slapped it away? Who's the legit one here? Asuka is. And that's what I love about this. And if Ronda Rousey meets Asuka, please, WWE, let Asuka go over. Because if Asuka wins a championship at WrestleMania, or if she faces Ronda Rousey at a major pay-per-view, and she's still undefeated at that point, don't let Rousey take that away from her. No, you need to have someone fresh and new coming through the ranks who Asuka, much like what they do, a passing of the torch as such. When Asuka drops that, you want it to be that. You don't want it to be for a UFC star who's already well established. So I hope that they keep that way with Asuka. And it was great to see her win the Royal Rumble. And I think Nikki Bella did a good job as well, being the last one in the ring, because it did make you think that potentially could WWE go down some sort of screwy route and screw over Asuka. And Nikki Bella's the sort of type that could do that. Maybe with her sister being involved as well, but then she clocked her sister. But it did make you think, is Asuka going to win this? Is she not? But she did. And I'm very happy with that result. The Rousey bit, well, it is going to make the WWE explode. They've wanted to do this for some time. It's touted around that it's going to be Stephanie McMahon versus Ronda Rousey with a mixed tag team. So potentially Triple H with Stephanie, maybe The Rock. We've seen that. It's been teased before. But again, I would much like to see Ronda Rousey, Asuka going over. But whether that will happen, only time will tell. But all in all, for me, the Royal Rumble, as a pay-per-view, I'm going to give it a solid 7 because I thought it was good. I like the fact that we had some history in the making. The Women's Royal Rumble for me was very exciting. It was very different. It was surprising. But I wouldn't say it was the greatest or the best Royal Rumble pay-per-view. So a solid 7 for me. So let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the Royal Rumble, particularly the men's and the women's. Did you enjoy them? What would you have changed about them? Are you happy with the winners? I think what this Royal Rumble was one for the fans. We haven't had a Royal Rumble like that for some time. We've always ended up booing. We could get a WrestleMania where everybody's happy too, particularly if it's Styles versus Nakamura. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Viper is in the mix some way. You know, he's coiled and he's ready to strike. And Randy Orton always seems to find himself in those places. So expect more twists and turns on that before it's fully confirmed, although Shane McMahon did say it during the show. So get involved via the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the Royal Rumble, and I hope you enjoyed my Royal Rumble review. If you did, please do hit that like button and make sure you follow me on Instagram at Delzinski. I am posting stuff now during the pay-per-views, so follow me there and follow me on Twitter at Delzinski2. So all that's left to be said is please rate, comment and subscribe. This is Delzinski signing out.